focus on the problem. Here are the top 7 rules to succeed in business during this outbreak. Stay tuned to know more. What's up, achievers? This is Murali. If you're new here, I'm here to help you improve your life using productivity tips and tools. If that's of interest to you, you're in the right place. Do me a quick favor and hit subscribe so that you don't miss any other tips and tricks I may bring your way. We're reaching a phase of social distancing. For businesses, it means keeping physical distances but maintaining digital proximity. If you feel any form of difficulty, your digital model needs some fine-tuning. It's time to relook at your business model to include digital, AI, social media, new forms of technology and training, both for customers as well as for employees. Think of a business model in terms of 2 axes: knowledge of the end customer and the business design to be built around it. While the end customer remains the same, the way the customer operates will now start to change. The 4 quadrants around this are your channels that make sense for conducting business, the supply chain to support it, the new ecosystem to provide a great customer experience, and of course, the products that would fit these new needs. We're now forced to work from home. Remote work will become strategic. We'll also realize that a number of jobs can be accomplished remotely, which actually means lower infrastructure and upfront cost requirements. You'll realize the time saving with regards to commute and skill levels available to accomplish all those targets. You'll also be clearer on the workforce model to ensure productivity benchmarks for this remote style of working. So you essentially have 3 models. Model number 1 is where there's a centralized office and an occasional working from home. A Stanford study shows that there's a 13.5% increase in employee productivity using this model. It also helps 84% of millennials who seek greater work-life balance and lower burnout. Then there's model number 2, a centralized office and a work from anywhere. In this model, you're not considering location as a factor when you're hiring talent. This can dramatically increase your talent pool. And finally, there's model number 3. That's a fully remote work without the need for a centralized office. The only required enabler for this model is technology. You could look at this model from company to company or look at this from job role to job role. You could take advantage of the cost of living requirements in some of these cases which don't require extensive infrastructure. And of course, salaries that come to compensate for it. Whatever be your model from a technology standpoint, the business of remote working is becoming more important than ever. Some refer to this plan as Plan B. It remains as an unwanted exercise till an outbreak like this hits. Organizations that have incorporated elements of Plan B into their Plan A will feel less heat. Examples of this are diversification of manufacturing and services, a global workforce distribution, or using collaboration tools for day-to-day working. This could also include implementing projects using globally integrated enterprises instead of locally focused ones. While global supply chains suddenly have a much more difficult job, in the longer run, this will present better business hedging. The entire supply chain strategy will be rewritten so that people are less dependent on China for everything. Since contingencies are being enacted right now, it's also a time to build and refine your contingency plan as you go through it while it's fresh in your mind. I have a question for you. Do you have an agile business response built in for such contingency plans? As the epidemic unfolds, people are not traveling. That saves you travel costs. But you also realize that airlines and tourism are now facing a really difficult survival situation. So while the situation is unusually difficult for some, it can be worked around in some of the others. Costs like outdoor advertising don't make much sense. But now you'll realize that YouTube watch time increases to compensate, with over 70% using mobile devices to access it. Traditional businesses like education and schooling are disrupted, but they are adapting to create the ability to teach online and to grow more students and provide easier reach. Cinema halls are closing down. So what do you do? In a Chinese example, when cinema halls closed down in January of 2020, Huanzi Media Group turned the crisis into opportunity. They used agility, awareness combined with decision making and action. They changed their distribution approach with an unlikely partner, ByteDance. ByteDance is a company that's behind the blockbuster app TikTok and a number of native Chinese apps like Douyin, Jinri Tatao, Zigua Video, and Huashan Video. While TikTok was a 15-second platform, lost in Russia, stream over 2 hours long. A partnership was completed in less than 24 hours, allowing for movies to be viewed 600 million times, and the resulting advertising revenues were shared between Huanzi and ByteDance. I feel positive examples wherever they arise could be of use to the rest of the world. In Chinese, the word Weiji represents crisis, while Wei stands for danger, Ji represents opportunity. China has seen a huge surge in e-commerce, and the rest of the world is gearing towards that as well. This is a business model. Some are in it fully, some partially, and some none at all. In these trying times, two skills are emerging as critically important to invest in. One is around digital, where a number of businesses are putting in their investments. The other one is critical thinking. Critical thinking is the ability to think clearly and rationally and understand the logical connection between ideas combined with the ability to engage in reflective and independent thinking. Did you know that the ability to critical thinking is actually acquired? So it's time to ensure that potential employees are assessed for it and existing employees are trained to see for it. Business models that are working fine don't need to be redefined, but standard operating practices will be elevated to a new level. The first examples of stress are in places like logistics that need to redefine themselves. Once they're sorted out, the fulfillment part of the cycle becomes accelerated. On the softer side, organizations will redefine their trust towards employees as much as customers will redefine their trust towards you. This is a period where businesses can redefine themselves to become more customer-centric and helpful towards customers. Where organizations fail to help or not believing that this is important, they will see a flight of customers away from them. Cracks will begin to emerge and will become more apparent. Leadership will be tested on its ability to engage people to work closer. The best leaders will break out of the silos and engage a better workplace culture. But in the end, Agile will be a standard part of the operating procedure. While we look at the problem, businesses are looking for alternative innovations. With telemedicine, you can now teleconsult your doctor as a first line of defense. Neolix claims that there has been an increased order for its robo-delivery trucks to cater to empty streets and advantages of a driverless scenario. This will help them control the spread of the epidemic and social distancing. Delivery bots will help you deliver products safely while maintaining social distancing. We are actually going through the biggest social experiment of modern times. That's working from home. Many governments have been able to monitor and control the epidemic using a combination of facial recognition technology, surveillance drones, robot police, and big data targeting social media platforms. This helps them monitor its citizens. And of course, public cloud computing is coming out as an unsung hero with companies like Zoom Video, Slack, and Amazon Web Services. All of these are supporting web-scale companies. People are now starting to do personalized yoga sessions using Zoom. Priests are now adopting the online medium for mass. So when nature does its course correction, we are forced to adapt. We don't inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. a Native American proverb. I can see that the impact of all of this is here to stay and can be felt by businesses for over 24 months. So, how do you see businesses reinventing themselves? Do comment below. So, if you're not part of this community, consider subscribing. Don't forget to hit the bell icon to stay notified of new videos. Bye for now.